Welcome to Epic Stock Due Diligence. Please subscribe at youtube.com/EpicStockDD. Thank you.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another hopefully entertaining episode of Epic Stock Due Diligence. Sorry, I got some Doritos on my face. I had some Doritos. But anyway, if you haven't subscribed already, I encourage you to do so. It's youtube.com/EpicStockDD, and share this video with others too. One thing I want to add that I always add is that this video is for entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered a recommendation to buy or sell a security. I'm sharing this video and all of my videos for entertainment purposes only. But with that being said, let's talk about something entertaining, and that is the traders. Now, most often penny stock traders, and there's a lot of people, as much as they would want one to believe, they typically never trade alone. Even the top shot, big shot, we're talking about the flash and the cash and all of that good stuff. Those traders, even though they want everyone to believe that they trade alone, that's seldom the case. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, this is part of the enhanced Epic Stock Due Diligence tongue twister. This is part of the enhanced Epic Stock due diligence process. So what I mean by that is that this is something most people, when they look at the stock market, whether it's the micro caps or the big boards, most people that look at the stock market, they just look at what's on the surface. They look at a ticker. Is it red? Is it green? They don't really take the time, or care to, for that matter, to really dive in and figure out why things work like they do. But something that's really important, and this is something that a lot of people may not have even pondered, is, okay, if there is a trader that is perceived as successful, maybe they are somehow confirmed to be that successful. How are they so successful? And how do they continue to be consistently successful? Now, a lot of this is heavily linked to the traders surrounding that trader, because whether... And maybe there are some traders that are 100% solo and they never interact with anyone else. And that's fine. I'd like to meet that trader because I've never met that trader. But most traders are connected somehow, and that's part of the entertaining element of the penny stock realm, is going in and saying, okay, just identifying a group of traders in the forums. Now, these are probably just screen names, not even real human names or anything, but just screen names for that matter. Try to identify, this is something I challenge myself with, not only trying to identify which traders tend to be friends with other traders and which traders tend to be foes, enemies of other traders. Because if you kind of get to know, and this is not an overnight process, but as one really becomes involved with the stock market, one can better gauge the amount of risk where a stock may be heading. And again, as always, expect to lose it all, because that's probably what's going to happen. But someone that devotes a lot of time to going in and getting to know those screen names. Okay, fictitious screen name A interacts with fictitious screen name B, which also commonly interacts with fictitious screen name F, but they're all three enemies of fictitious screen name X. So that sort of thing. Trying to find out which traders are aligned with the other traders, because this is important. Because unlike the big boards, where we're talking most shares traded are upwards of 10 or at least a few bucks a share. I mean, they're not sub-penny stocks where a few $1,000s injected into a sub-penny stock with excellent share structure could really make it noticeable. I mean, you inject $1,000 into a company on NASDAQ that's trading at $47 a share, it's not even going to be noticed. But in a penny stock, a sub-penny stock, that could even be, it could make $1,000 could really make things light up. So that's important to realize, because the penny stock game, the game itself is... And I guess the best way, and see, I like to visualize stuff, and I know a lot of y'all appreciate my videos. A lot of you think I'm an ignorant hick, And I appreciate that too, because you're still my viewer. And I respect everyone's opinion. But with that being said, it's important to visualize it from this perspective. So look at the big boards. The big boards, you know, you've got NASDAQ, American Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange. Stocks that are trading at 40, 50, 60, $100 a share, a few $100s a share. All of those stocks. And you've got the big players up there. I mean, you've got real money trading those big board stocks. And then you got the penny stocks. You know, you've got the OTC QX, which is pretty decent. And then you got the pink sheets, which most often is not even worth a piece of paper that it was written on. The pink sheet, the bottom of the barrel, the most sketchy of the sketchy stocks. But with that sketchiness comes a blessing in disguise. And what that blessing is the opportunity to really go out and see what makes a stock move. Because unlike those big board stocks, where it's going to take potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to even make the stock even notice that money was traded, with these pink sheets, it can take a few hundred, a few $1,000 and really make miracles happen. So what I mean by that is that getting to know traders that know traders, because often traders trade together. So if there's traders that are typically, from your due diligence, you feel that they seem to be somewhat accurate, it's funny to watch which stocks they follow, because often those traders will go after these stocks that have excellent share structure. I mean, we're talking about what most would perceive as just being a dead stock, a shell play, just a stock that hasn't had activity for a few months or a few years, but it has great share structure. And then you'll see a group of traders really go in and ignite that stock, utilizing that share structure, you know, flexing that share structure muscle to enable rapid, I mean extremely, insanely rapid price per share increase, or decrease for that matter. So remember, they can go up, they can go down as quickly, if not more quickly, than they go up, if they ever do go up. So that's what's cool about this. See, you're starting to see what I'm looking at here. So you've got, in essence, sub-penny stocks. I like to look at it as a completely different animal. I don't even like to look at it as a stock market. I like to look at it, a good comparison would be a small efficiency apartment. You know, you got like a sink and a toilet and a bed, and that's it, versus a mega mansion. So the mega mansion would be the big board stocks. That little tiny efficiency apartment would be a sub-penny stock. And actually a sub-penny stock's probably just a sleeping bag on the dirt in the backyard. A tiny backyard, I must add, because, you know, it's just tiny. But see, that size, when enough people enter that environment, it becomes crowded very quickly. And, you know, anytime you get too many people in a room, what's going to happen? It's going to overflow into the hallway and then beyond that. So just like penny stocks, where you've got these sub-penny pink sheets that all of a sudden garner just an enormous amount of interest. So they're buzzing all over the forums. You know, maybe they're even buzzing on the news. Who knows? I mean, if a penny stock's in the news, be prepared for potential big pops or big flops. It depends what the news is. But yeah, so look at it from that perspective, because with this, it doesn't, that's the thing about penny stocks. I mean, someone with a few dollars can really feel important versus the big board. Someone with a few dollars, I mean, unless they've got millions of dollars, in the eyes of the big board stock market, they're a nobody. So that's what's cool about the penny stocks, and that's why it's important as part of my due diligence process. I really like to know, because I may know Joe Bob in California, and Joe Bob in New York, and Jane Doe in Missouri, and Jill Jackson in Tennessee, and Billy Bob in Mississippi, and I may know all those traders. But if I know that all those traders seem to trade together, and I follow them on forums and whatnot, and I see that they're buzzing around a penny stock, a micro cap stock that seems to have good share structure. It's one of those ways to not only better gauge what a stock might do, but just to see the power that just a few people with a few bucks and a micro cap stock with just awesome share structure, what can happen. I mean, it's literally like a miracle what some of these things can do. I mean, and obviously this channel, this is for entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered a recommendation to buy or sell security. But with with that being said, it's just interesting to look back at some historical sub penny plays that just went, I mean, ballistic. I mean, we're talking sub penny to some of them even a buck or so. I mean, it's insane to look at that and to see to try to decipher what caused all that excitement to happen. But again, back to the purpose of this video. See, I get sidetracked a lot because I'm not a good speaker, and some of my fans have told me that, and I appreciate that. So if you don't like to listen to me speak, you may want to check out my book. It's available in the Apple iTunes store. It's entitled The Penny Stock Perfectionist. It only costs a few bucks, and you can find a link. Go to the main page of youtube.com/EpicStockDD, and there's a picture of me in front of that bull up on Broadway, and it says buy my book. But check that out if you want to. But yeah, I could ramble on and on about really researching and finding out which traders tend to run in packs and which traders seem to dislike other traders and why. And it's like I said, there's a lot more to them. It's easy for someone to take micro cap stocks and just really feel like a detective and just pull apart all the various pieces and try to decipher all of these clues. And that's part of what Epic Stock Due Diligence is about. I mean, obviously it's about entertainment, but entertainment in a way to where one can go out and just really experience the stock market from a different perspective. I mean, I don't like to look at the stock market, oh, it's making money, dude. Check out my new Lambo. Or, hey, man, I just lost everything. That sort of thing. I'm not here to talk about buying and selling. I'm here to talk about entertainment. And that's something that I don't think there's, if there is, let me know. I don't think there's any other channel out there that talks about stocks from an entertaining perspective. It's not, let's make money and let's flaunt wealth or perceived wealth. Let's just have a good time and be entertained. That's what it's about. So with that being said, really digest what I said within this video because I got a lot more coming soon. This is just kind of to make everyone think about that. Which traders run in packs and why do they do that and what do they usually go after? And it's selfish. It's selfish for someone as a trader to say, oh, I've done everything on my own, whether it's success or failure. It's ignorant for a trader to say, oh, dude, I did it all on my own. Because there's no guarantees. I mean, as we know, there are no guarantees for anything. But it's one of those things that if you ever encounter someone they claim to be a trader and they try to claim, oh, I did it all on my own, really do your research and see if you can if you can call them out on that. Because I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, this is the stock market is a crazy place, and especially the sub penny, not penny stocks. We're talking pink sheets where it just gets really sketchy. It's just some really cool stuff to research. But with that being said, this video is getting kind of long, so we had to save some of this goodness for future videos. So share with others and subscribe if you haven't already. youtube.com/EpicStockDD. And I appreciate your viewership. Y'all have a good day.